On today's episode of the Mark Titus Show, we are one game into the college basketball season, and it might be time to smash the panic button in East Lansing. The number 4 ranked Michigan State Spartans lose at home to James Madison, not the man, the university, JMU, the Dukes. And I don't know, is the sky falling? Was this a fluke? Was this, Michigan State goes 1 for 20 from the three-point line, so reasonable mind would say that's probably not going to happen a lot. Maybe Michigan State just, had a bad – you got to make shots to win in the Big Ten. We know this. So maybe just flush it down. Don't worry about it too much. But at the same time, you're losing. You're supposed to be the 4th-ranked team in the country. You're a team that brings a lot of people back. Typically in college basketball, when you are a team such as Michigan State that does bring so many veteran guys back and you have the cohesive unit – you're supposed to, out of the gate, be more of a ready-made product than most of the other teams around the country. So does that give you concern? I don't know. I'm too stupid to fully make sense of all this, which is why I'm bringing on the Big Ten expert, the best guy I know who the guy who talks about Big Ten basketball the best, I should say. The guy whose opinion on Big Ten basketball I value the most. It is Ant Wright. He has been on the show before. He's great. I cannot recommend following him on Twitter enough. Although I will say before he comes on the show, he is a Michigan guy, and I could do without some of the hardball nonsense he's throwing out there right now. But that is to be expected of these Michigan men. Ant is one of the few Michigan men that I like and respect. But every so often he'll fire off a tweet that I'm just like, brrr. But as it pertains to Big Ten basketball, he's the best. So he's going to come on the show, talk to me about we're going to talk with him about, obviously, Michigan State losing to JMU. But it looked for a second there, opening night, looked like it was going to be bad for the entire conference other than Purdue. Purdue absolutely waxed Samford, who I know is not supposed to be that great, but, last time we saw Purdue play a team that wasn't supposed to be that great, we know what happened. So Purdue took care of business, but there for a moment, like Illinois was losing, Ohio State struggled against Oakland, which I don't really want to talk about, to be completely honest with you. Rutgers lost to Princeton, which TJ doesn't want to really talk about. I'm gonna go ahead and assume TJ does not want to talk about that. Indiana didn't look great against Florida Gulf Coast. I don't want to say the whole conference. Northwestern I saw was struck. I don't want to say the whole conference was bad, but I don't know. That's why I'm gonna have Ant on. I'm gonna try to figure out how much the conference should be panicking out of the gate. Because other than Purdue looking really, really dominant, there weren't a ton of bright spots. So we'll talk through all that. Also going to talk about the Barstool Invitational that happened last night as of this recording, Wednesday night. So everyone listening a couple days ago. Supposed to be 2 good games. Was not really. It was 2 blowouts, but it was a fun time nonetheless. So we'll talk about that a little bit and recap our night and what ended up being a really fun event, even though the games weren't necessarily the best. But I will say the 2 teams that won, I want to talk about that. I'll just save it for that. So that's on the docket today. Ant Wright coming up, some Barstool Invitational talk, get to some other stuff as well. Let's get into it. All right, Ant Wright coming up. Before we get to him, though, let's talk about this Barstool Invitational that happened last night. 2 best games in college basketball, I think they were supposed to be coming in. FAU, Loyola, Chicago, and then Mississippi State, Arizona State. FAU, kind of inconsiderate of FAU, I want to say, to completely just shit all over my belief that these scrimmages should matter, that that the preseason secret scrimmages, at a time when the college basketball people need some content and the preseason scrimmages roll around, I do take the results as gospel because I'm a moron, and FAU proves that yet again, because everything I had heard about FAU leading up to the season was that they were kind of a mess in these scrimmages. Now, Elijah Martin apparently was not playing in the scrimmages, but he's one of their better players, obviously. Came off the bench against Loyola, but FAU looked really good. Now, Loyola's program's obviously taken a big step back. I think they felt a little more confident going into this game than perhaps they should have, I guess. Like, I don't mean to suggest that Loyola are some world beaters. They are like a quintessential mid-major team, and they looked like it. I mean, when the 2 teams were warming up for the first game, it really was like an airport test situation, which if you're new to the Titus universe, I believe strongly in something called the airport test, which is if you see a basketball team walking through the airport, do you shit your pants? Do you like drop your jaw and be like, oh my God, dude, those are the best. That might be the best basketball team I've ever seen. The famous example of this is like when Leonard Hamilton's Florida State teams were rolled. Like when Leonard Hamilton had really good Florida State teams. I guess some of the Syracuse teams were that way too. When like Boeheim used to recruit like guys that just had massive wingspans. That sort of thing. Now FAU, I don't think is like an all-time airport test team. I don't think I don't think FAU like jumps out at you in that regard. But when you stack them next to Loyola and just watching the two teams warm up, it was like, okay, yeah, so FAU has better athletes. They're bigger, they're stronger, they're faster. And the game kind of revealed that. And so, like, on the one hand, I want to credit FAU because they did look really good, and they suffocated Loyola, man, like out of the gate. The first, like, 5 or 6 Loyola possessions, maybe even more than that, Loyola wasn't even looking at the rim. They were just, like, swinging the ball around the perimeter and cutting, and, like, they looked really, really good at, like, it looked like they were doing a drill where the coach said, don't shoot, you know? And you're in one of those basketball practices where it's like early season and the coach is like, all right, guys, we're just going to work on our passing and our cutting and dribbling, but I don't want anybody shooting the ball for 5 minutes. That's kind of how they – like no one was looking at the rim. No one, and that was all because FAU's defense was smothering. Loyola made a little interesting in the second half. They didn't go down without a fight. But, yeah, I don't want to, like, make too much out of FAU's win. I thought they took care of business in a way they should have. But, yeah, I don't think Loyola was – I also don't want to shit on Loyola because, like, you know, we met some of those guys. They came through the office here, and nice guys. I'm rooting for their program. Sister Jean was kind enough to do an interview with White Sox Dave. What a video!
What a sentence!
What a video! He said, Dave told me, by the way, I talked to him today. I was like, dude, great video you made with Sister Jean. And he goes, she didn't really. I was like, he goes, I don't really know what I got out of her. He's like, I don't really know if it was that good. And I said, Dave, it literally doesn't matter what you said or what she said. Just the video of you pushing her in a wheelchair.
Yeah. Any video.
It doesn't need to be a video. A picture of you standing behind her.
We could have just tweeted out White Sox Dave hung out with Sister
Jean. Yeah. But then he was like, he goes, dude, I couldn't. He goes, I was trying to leave, and she like wouldn't let me leave. And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, she talked to me for 20 straight minutes. I asked her one question, and she talked for 20 straight minutes, and I'm just, like, slowly trying to back away. I was like, dude, why didn't you record that? That's the video I wanted to see is, like, Dave trying to back out of the room as Sister Jean's like, oh, and another thing. And he's like, God damn it, not again. Is there a special lady in your life? And he's like,
what could they possibly have talked about, the two of them? What small talk is Sister Jean making?
I don't know. The White Sox, baby. Some of the moves the White Sox are making in the offseason. But yeah, I don't want to like pile on Loyola, but they were outmatched, you know. So like it's on the one hand, it's like, you know, FAU is clearly the better team, but on the other hand, it's like let's not hang a banner just yet because you beat Loyola Chicago. But yeah, I mean, like FAU has the swagger. They have the. I think they are riding high off the Final Four, and that's good to see. Now, moving forward, does become a question as you're playing in a tougher conference, and also just like the idea of like can you recapture last year's run? The magic of how do I say it? Like egos get bigger, you know. Like you go to a Final Four, you go back on campus, everyone's kissing your ass all offseason, telling you how great you are, and you know, can you keep the circle tight? Basically, is what I'm saying. And they looked like they did. I mean, Vlad Golden was awesome in this game, but it kind of felt like he was going to be. That's what I mean. Like watching the warm ups, it was like that guy is considerably bigger than everybody else, and that's what happened as the game went on. So anyway. Florida Atlantic, I think it just felt like ultimately it just felt like the right result. Like it felt like just kind of a no conclusion, don't jump to any conclusions type of result where it was just like, yeah, it probably feels right that they're the 10th best team in the country. I don't think this game says that they're a fraud, but I also don't think this game was like obviously we didn't say they're a fraud. They kind of handled the game from start to finish, but I also don't think it's like, holy shit, anybody that thought they weren't top 5, you're an absolute idiot. It was just kind of a ho-hum game, but I was crossing my fingers it might be a little bit better of a game. The second game, Arizona State Mississippi State. Going in, both teams had a ton of questions about just basically what the rosters were going to look like. Arizona State has 1 million transfers. 1 million. I counted them, all of them. There were 1 million. And how many of those are eligible? How many of those are healthy? I didn't know. I was curious to see. And then Mississippi State had, like Brandon said, their 3 best players. I mean, I know Tolu and Shaq are their 2 best, but like they were absolutely depleted as well. I kind of thought Arizona State was going to win because I thought I thought they on paper would have more talent, and that this would just be like a chaotic game where like both teams like aren't really kind of one of those games where like you completely just disregard it when March rolls around because the teams look so much different, and you know all the moving pieces and the lineups they're trying to figure out, especially with Arizona State and Mississippi State gets guys healthy. Like I envision it being one of those games, and I thought it would just be a chaotic game. And to me, Arizona State is a program that just represents chaos. They just are, like, as a program, a chaotic program. They will lose by 1,000 one night and then go beat Arizona when the Arizona's ranked in the top 5 the next night. I can never make sense of what the fuck Bobby Hurley's doing in Tempe. So it's my thoughts going in were that Arizona State would thrive in the chaos and would make this a good game and maybe even win the game. The exact opposite happened. And Mississippi State, if you're a Mississippi State fan, and unfortunately I work closely with one, you have to be very, very, very excited about what you saw. And again, you have to provide the right context. It was Arizona State. Arizona State is not a team that is expected to do a ton of great things this year. I'm not saying we're hanging banners yet. But when you have a guy like Tolu Smith, who is an All-American talent, who's not playing in this game and isn't going to play for a little while, and you're coming off a season where you were literally the worst shooting team in the country, and you come into your very first game without your best player with I know they shook up the roster a little bit, but it's most of the guys that were on the team last year. To come into this game and shoot the way they did and still get after it on defense. Someone told me, were they talking about it on the broadcast, TJ, that like Mississippi State did not practice defense at all this offseason? Was that something that was mentioned? You weren't really.
I was
in the truck that long?
out on the floor for the second game, but it seems like my big takeaway from them was how good they were like inside the paint. They seemed like they wanted to charge the basket every time.
There's some motherfuckers,
and their body.
Dude. There's some dude. There's some thick motherfuckers.
Yeah.
They're just some tough sons of bitches, and someone told me maybe it was Brandon that they basically just did not practice defense at all offseason. All they did was shoot. They did no defense whatsoever.
That's what they needed.
Because that's what they needed. They were the worst shooting team in the country. Their defense was great last year. But when I heard that, I was like, uh-oh. Like, are they going to take a huge step back in defense?
Right.
Not the case. I mean, that was an absolute ass whooping to the point that Dave, I saw, tweeted like right after the event, and he was like, "We're never having another Barstool Invitational just because of this."
Because the games are so wide. We play them in December in Newark, and I am.
Oh, Mississippi State.
I think everybody thought the total for that game was going to be like 115 because they were so bad and we were so bad scoring last year. But I don't know, man. They look kind of nice.
They look, yeah. They shoot from 3. They were 10 for 26, 38%, which is not, it's not a record or anything, but for them, I mean, that's like Mississippi State going 10 for 26 from the 3-point line is like any other team going 20 for 26. It's the fact that they were hitting as many shots as they were, and it was different dudes too. They had the Fort kid hit like 5. He could not miss. So that was again. I don't want to jump to too many conclusions. We're one game into a season. It's an Arizona State team that has a lot of work to do. I don't know what they're gonna do about Bobby Hurley. He has to be. It's like year 9 for him, and again, like I want to be kind because these people did, these programs did sign up to play in the Barstool Invitational. But if I'm being completely honest, one of my good buddies, we've had him on the show, Zach Schwartz. He's an Arizona State guy, and just the texts I get from him for every time Arizona State basketball is on television, he is like just so defeated at all times. And I don't I don't know. He's not like even I can sense that like Bobby Hurley is is not long for Tempe because the anger, they're not even in the anger stage anymore. Like Schwartz will just text me just sad stuff. He's just like, I'm just sad. Like, I'm a broken man trying to watch Arizona State basketball because it is a roster that should be good enough. Like, Alonzo Gaffney's a dude that transferred from Ohio State, and I know he's coming off of an injury. But I remember when Alonzo Gaffney went to Ohio State, he was like a guy that was thought to be like a future pro. And he was horrendous in this game for Arizona State. Granted, again, he was coming off an injury. I didn't think he was even going to play. But Jose Perez is this dude that was at Manhattan, was player of the year in their conference, transfers to West Virginia, was a huge get for West Virginia. West Virginia fans were very, very excited for him. Could not get eligible for whatever reason. Was basically on the team last year, never played for them, was waiting to play this year, was ready to play this year. Then Bob Huggins goes and does Bob Huggins things, we shall say, and decides he's not going to stick around for whatever happens next in Morgantown. Transfers to Arizona State. I was so excited to see what he could do. He was terrible in this game. Basically everybody was terrible for Arizona State, and I just, like, this was a roster that I felt like has some talent, has some pieces, and they are going to be clear, Arizona State will win like 1 or 2 games that they have no business winning this year, because that's what they do every year. But I just don't know. I don't know how this happens time and time again with this team and this program, because it's one thing to just be bad. I don't ever really feel like they're bad. They are a team that if you see them on their best night, or if you squint hard enough, you're like, that's a team that could do something. That's a team that could go on a run, or that's a team in an NCAA tournament, or that's a team that could compete in the Pac-12. But we all know they're not going to. And to start your season like this, and to see like Bobby Hurley, the weirdest thing to me was how like Bobby Hurley was just like resigned to what was happening. He's a guy that I in my head is just losing his mind at all times. And they're getting their ass kicked in the second half, and he's just kind of like, whatever, man. I don't know. A bummer of an event. A bummer of an event in the terms of the games that were played, but it was a fun time. People seem to hate the broadcast, TJ.
Yeah, you see Goodman's tweet about it?
What'd he say?
Unwatchable. In response to somebody tweeting like a clip from, what is this? FAU 75, Loyola 57 with 1 minute and 50 seconds left. And it was like Dave and Dan being like cheering for an over or something.
Yeah, wanting fouls.
Which the only people still watching a college basketball broadcast with 90 seconds left in an 18-point game are people that have action on the game.
Yeah.
And people that are like dedicated diehard super fans of those teams that would watch no matter who was broadcasting it.
Right.
So who is this unwatchable to? Like, what casual fan is like, I got to lock in for the last 90 seconds of this 18-point game in November? Like, the dumps in these people's pants are so stinky.
Goodman, Goodman has had a dump in his pants for a long time. He was probably just like regurgitating what some coach texted him. Honestly, he's just like a mouthpiece for whatever. Like Hurley probably texted him like, I hated being a part of that event or something. Like say it was unwatchable. We're not doing it again though. That was it. That was probably it. Do we think Dave was
saying
serious?
That's it because originally we had a 3-year contract for the Arizona Bowl, the college football bowl game.
Yeah.
First one got COVID canceled. We did one last year. This is the last in the contract. That was like part of a thing based off of our previous owners.
Yeah.
That had like the money to establish that. It's very expensive to get these contracts. And then we're like, let's do basketball too. It's almost like a warm up to like figure out how to do that sort of stuff.
Got it.
So we did that last year and this year. And I would assume that we're not doing it next year. It's very, very fun though. Like, I greatly enjoyed my time at both of them. Yeah,
and I think the crowd, it's not a huge crowd. I did feel like that's like kind of a weird thing, because I do think like a lot of the Stoolies want to watch Dave and Dan, but if you're at the event,
you
like
can't
how do you watch Dave
and
Dan call the game with Jake? And it's like that part's I think confusing. So to be clear, like for the haters out there that are trying to say that there wasn't a great crowd at this event, first of all, there was. I think it was like half full, which doesn't sound like much, but when you compare that to most of these invitationals, most of these neutral site sort of events, they don't get great crowds. Like even in Madison Square Garden, I remember playing in like the preseason NIT, and like we didn't get. It's not like we sold that thing out. It just, yeah, like these things are hard. Just the only one that like really comes to mind is like, yeah, there's a banger crowd every fucking time is the Maui Invitational. But then that's also because one, it's the Maui Invitational. It's the greatest thing college basketball has to offer outside of the NCAA tournament. And two, the gym holds 40 people, you know? So it's like, of course you're going to sell that out. But yeah, these events never get massive crowds, and for some reason, I saw some of that, like people like just kind of saying like, "Damn, nobody there," and I'm like, I mean, what the fuck do you think that was gonna happen?
Yeah,
like that's.
It's also like if people are criticizing the broadcast, like if Dave and Dan locked in for a very professional, like industry standard broadcast, that would be way more boring.
Way boring.
Like,
oh my god,
be horrible.
That'd be horrible. That would be unwatchable.
Yes,
that would be unwatchable.
You watch because it's Dave and Dan sweating their shit out, and also like yelling at Pete through their headsets because he's trying to talk over it. Like that's the point. Like, don't watch it if you don't want to watch it.
Brandon and I had we did the intermission show, which I thought was, if I'm being completely honest, it was like a C+. It was not great.
The odds were stacked against
me. The odds were stacked against me. My IFB wasn't really turned up. I turned it all the way up, but I couldn't really hear even with it all the way turned up, so I couldn't fully hear like Brandon. So I'm like screaming because I can't even really hear myself either. I'm screaming into my. I look like I look like a high school kid or like a college kid that's like wants to get into broadcasting and it's his first time and live on the air, and that's kind of a typical thing that happens is guys just start like screaming into microphones because they don't know how microphones work. That's how I felt last night. I was like screaming into the microphone. But at one moment, there was a moment in the intermission show where we were told that Tolu Smith was mic'd up. And I took that to mean that we were supposed to talk to him and interview him.
Which would seem like a normal reaction.
It seems like a normal thing. Yeah, right?
I was in the truck, and the guy next to me was like, "Oh, we have this mic'd up. Let's just put it live."
Yeah, he goes, "We have this mic'd up. Let's put it live." And I hear that in my earpiece, like faintly, I hear Tolu Smith mic'd up. Because we were talking about Tolu Smith. He's like, "Yeah, we got him mic'd up during warm-up." So I was like, "Oh, fuck yeah." And that felt reasonable. That felt like a reasonable thing in the context of the Barstool Invitational as well, where like most broadcasts might not mic up a player during warm-ups, but I was like, we're kind of doing some experimental shit here. Like we mic'd up one of the Loyola assistants, right? During the first
Bobby
half.
Hurley was mic'd before
Bobby Hurley,
Tolu was mic'd during the but
so I was like, all right, maybe we should interview. Maybe they're saying let's interview Tolu Smith, and then we just started asking him questions, and we realized quickly that he couldn't hear us.
Yeah, preposterous.
Which is
and then they just left it up for like 3 minutes. So I was like, what?
And then Tolu Smith's microphone is like still turned on.
The you guys trying to talk to him by predicting what he was saying was very funny.
Yeah,
I thought that was funny.
But
it's so weird for those guys too, because they're all like from TV, so they don't really understand.
Yeah, like the crew we contracted out is not Barstool people.
So like when Yak Basketball goes on and they're trying to shoot it like a traditional basketball game, where there's like, oh, we have a wide and then we have a hero once somebody makes it. Like they didn't know how to follow something like Yak Basketball. I get back to the truck, I was like, how was that, guys? And he was like, I guess it was what it was. Like,
yeah. And we as we were setting up the set where we were doing our little part, we purposely were trying to make it look like a little shitty.
Yeah.
To have like the Barstool difference. We didn't want it to look super professional, and it did. Like, shout out to our crew for having awesome lighting and a desk and making it look very official. But we were also like, this is not what Barstool should really be. There's like a middle ground, because I guess last year Brandon said there was just like he called it a Dudley Boys.
Yeah, it was a folding table on like a plat. It was very sketchy.
Yeah.
I don't know why that was that sketchy, but this year at least looked a little.
There's
bit
got to
like
be
a
middle ground between the two.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like we kind of like made a mess of our desk and like threw some papers around to like make it look a little disheveled. There's a roll of duct tape and Ebo standing behind us holding up a sign, and we're just trying to make it look a little dumber. And the guy, like the stagehand, just kept. As hard as we tried to like make it not look professional, he could not resist. And I tried to explain to him over and over, because I told him I wanted my IFB in my left ear because just that I can hear better out of my left ear. And he's like, no, you got to put it in your right because you're sitting on the left. And so when you turn to him, like it doesn't show the IFB. And I was like, listen, buddy, I understand everything you're saying.
Yeah.
This is fucking Barstool Sports. Dude.
Right.
Like, it doesn't.
Dude,
it doesn't matter.
We were like seconds away from cutting to you guys. And you were wearing a shirt that said mostly, and Brandon was wearing a shirt that said sports. So when you read it left to right, it said sports mostly.
Right.
3 people in the truck were like, they're in the wrong seats. They're in the wrong seats. Tell them to get up. Like they were like freaking out. They're like, it's fucked up. What? Like somebody fix it.
As though we weren't doing it on purpose.
Yeah. I was like don't worry, guys. They are They know that they're dumb. They understand.
Yeah, they are dumb, but they're I don't know how to explain it. They're dumb on purpose, I guess.
My favorite is Pete sits like in the second row of the truck, like behind the producer and director.
Yeah.
And they look to him for like the barstoolification of the broadcast, or if they need to if they need a reference on something. And Pete has access to talk to Dave and Dan. So if they need Pete to communicate something, they'll go through him. And many times they'll ask Pete to do something. And Pete knows that if he says it during the broadcast, Dave and Dan will stop talking because they can't listen and talk at the same time.
Right.
So Pete will pretend to press the talk button and be like, hey, guys, they need you to do this, but not actually press it.
That's so funny.
And then just like text them or something.
That's so funny.
So he keeps everybody happy.
That happened to when Tate and I called the St. John's game for fs2.com plus / Titus and Tate, a pay-per-view special for $49.99 one night only. I think that's how you watched it. We did the same thing. It was very funny because the guy, the producer in the ear would say something to you, and Tate especially was cracking me up because he would just like reply to that guy. The guy would be like, "Timeout coming up, next dead ball, timeout," and he'd just go, "Okay." Got it. It's like live on the air, and I don't mean to shit on it because I was doing it too, but I always noticed when Tate would do it because like obviously when you're doing it, you're kind of in it. But that was so funny. Yeah, we would just be like, "Okay, got it, cool, thank you." Like that's
responding to nothing.
Yeah. So if you're a viewer, he's like, "Why did you just say okay, got it, thank you?" That doesn't.
I do always feel for the fan bases of these teams that don't.
Yeah.
Like there's got to be Mississippi State or Arizona State people that don't consume or follow Barstool at all that had to watch that. Like imagine like a 70-year-old person in Starkville, Mississippi turning that broadcast
what I was thinking
on.
of, and this is very bleeding heart of me, but I was thinking of the poor old the old Catholics, like the old Sister Jean types that love Loyola Chicago. And they're just watching Dave just like, God fucking damn it, my fucking son of, you know.
It's a very funny visual.
And Rico, you know,
fighting the refs.
Just all the madness. But no, I think the college basketball community is not necessarily a huge fan of ours. But you know, I'm doing what I can to, you know, to win people over. We'll see. But yeah, it was a fun night. Glad we did it. And we'll never do it again. So,
Yak basketball.
Yak basketball. Wearing the goggles. So I wore drunk goggles during Yak basketball, and that was a massive mistake. I was within I'd say 20 seconds. I immensely regretted agreeing to doing that. So when we practiced it. And apologies to anyone watching or listening has no idea what the hell I'm talking about. I don't know how else to explain it. But I'm on this other show called The Yak, and it's just I don't know, whatever. I just Googled it. I guess I can't even explain it. It'll take 45 minutes. But when we were practicing Yak basketball on The Yak the other day, and I was wearing hockey gloves, I hated that because I wanted to be able to actually like feel the ball. You know, like it's like this is. It really was like pissing me off because I was so close to being able to play basketball, but I couldn't. So I thought the drunk goggles, yes, I won't be able to see straight, but I'll at least have the feel for the ball, and at least like when I shoot, the muscle memory will be there and all that sort of thing. So I think it was like posed to me as a handicap. I have to either wear hockey gloves or the drunk goggles. And I was like, yeah, dude, give me the drunk goggles because the hockey gloves were pissing me off so much. And then like 10 seconds in, 20 seconds in, I was like, this was a massive mistake. I was nauseous the rest of the night. It was so bad. I couldn't see shit. And I made the mistake, TJ, on the Yak that yesterday when I was playing Brandon one-on-one. I made it look easy. Yeah. And it was just luck. Like I just like shot a basketball normal and guessed where the rim was, and it went in. And then I think that conditioned everybody to believe that the drunk goggles weren't that bad. They were. It was disgusting. I hated it. The other note I had was I knew that there was going to be a guy called the Hut that was playing with us.
Yeah.
One, I did not know he was going to try to dunk on everybody at all times to where, like, as that's going on, I'm thinking, why am I handicapped if their Hut is here? Yeah. Like, because the whole point of handicapping me is because I don't want to be a hardo and just, like, you know, just try to school everybody. And it would be more fun if I had some sort of hindrance. But then this fucking guy's out there, like, dunking on everybody. And I'm like, well, why do I have to? But I did agree to it, so I just left him on. The other thing, I didn't realize that was the Boston College, the guy who was crying about he's going to miss eating with his friends.
Yeah.
Dude, the second I walked into the green room and saw his face, I was like, no, that's the guy.
Yeah, that's the Hut.
That's the guy from the thing.
Yeah. I don't know why he's the Hut or how he became the Hut, but
because he loves eating out with his friends, dude.
Yeah.
Pizza Hut was like, we got to get that guy on board. The viral clip, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go look it up. What was that, like 7-8 years ago?
Something like that, yeah.
What are you going to miss most about playing college basketball? And he like pauses for a minute and a half and then he starts crying and he goes, probably just eating out. Which, to be fair, when you are on a power conference college basketball team, you get fed pretty well. So
2016.
Not the worst answer in the world.
I think he's trying to get into content. He kept asking people, so how do you even do this?
Yeah. He kept asking me because I told him, like, I walked on at Ohio State or whatever, and, like, we were just comparing war stories, you know, playing college basketball or whatever. And then I told him I came from Fox, and then he goes, so what's next for you? And I go, what do you mean? And he's like in your career, like, now you're at Barstool, like, what's the next step for you? And I was like, honestly, buddy, now that I'm at Barstool, I think this is it. I was like, I think that's how Barstool works. There is no,
yeah. I pissed my pants on cam.
Let me tell you something, Hut. You think crying about eating out is embarrassing? Try pissing your pants on camera. As a bunch of dudes are cackling, laughing behind you and pointing at you.
And a 9-month pregnant woman.
Yeah, as a 9-month pregnant woman is recoiling in horror. Once you do that, buddy, you are stuck at this company for life. Anyway, enough about that. Thank you to everybody who watched the Barstool Invitational. Thank you to everybody that came out. It was fun interacting with the fans that were there, of mine and of not mine. You know, like people, just in general, watching other Barstool personalities mingling with the fans is fun, and seeing you know, like the reaction Stu Feiner gets and the reaction Frank gets put on the jumbotron. Like, all of it's very cool, and it was cool to be a part of it, even though I was but a small part. It was cool to have that small part. To play a small part in an event that will never happen again. All right. Enough about that. Let's talk to Ant Wright about the Big Ten. Quick break to talk about our friends at Body Armor. The Mark Titus Show is brought to you by Body Armor. Real hydration, real ingredients packed with electrolytes, vitamins, and nothing artificial. Body Armor has great tasting flavors like strawberry, banana, and blue raspberry. Not only do we hydrate with Body Armor, but some of the best athletes in the world do as well, like Christian McCaffrey, Joe Burrow, Ronald Acuna Jr., CeeDee Lamb, Bryce Young, and Jersey Jerry. Wait, what? Did that? No, they didn't. They didn't actually put him on the list. But Jersey Jerry does. Jersey Jerry hit the half-court shot at the Barstool Invitational right after I missed mine. And boy, walking around this office and having that pointed out to me by everybody has not been a fun experience. But I was happy for Jerry, and I'm happy for all of you watching and listening, because you have a great opportunity right now to go get some Body Armor yourself. It is the only thing that we drink around here at the office. We love it. You'll love it too. Body Armor is available in stores nationwide, but you can head on over now to the Body Armor store on Amazon and get yours today. Body Armor, go do it. All right, Ant Wright is here. Got the big hat on and everything. Always good vibes when Ant comes on the show. But I don't know. I guess we got to start with Michigan State. And panic button time out of one game. Like, what is your takeaway with this? With losing to JMU at home, with a team that is a team that brings back a ton of dudes, and you know, typically when you have a team like that, those are the teams that are supposed to be a little bit better at the start of the season because there's more cohesiveness and all that sort of thing. And they could not make anything. It felt like Izzo's not even completely sure what he wants his lineups to be. Michigan State fans have already talked themselves into, like, actually this is going to be a good thing for us in the long run. Where do you stand on this with Michigan State losing the season opener as the number 4 team in the country?
Whenever Michigan State loses like an early game to like a team that they should beat, they always go back to the national championship season. Like they do that whenever this happens.
Yeah.
But I would say this. I would say that Tyson Walker was very, very good. James Madison is also a very good team. Do not sleep on them. They've got some guys who are in their 4th and 5th years. Some really good transfers from high majors back in the DMV area, and that's like their like last chance of getting to, you know, do something in the postseason and for their college career. So first and foremost, JMU is a very good team. 1, 2, Tyson Walker's backcourt mates has got to be way, way better.
Yeah.
AJ Hogard is very good. He really didn't do much. Jay Nakins too. He didn't do much. I feel like they were just watching Tyson just do his thing, and I feel like as a unit, they're so much better. Like Tyson dropping 30 is cool, but when Tyson has 15, 16, Akins has like his 13, 14, AJ has his 12, 13, that's when they're most dangerous. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
I guess like the thing I was struggling with coming into the season is like I sort of understood the hype. Like the recruiting class is great. You're bringing all these dudes back that we've seen when they're at their best. Like Hogarth could be, when he's on, like he is one of the best players in the conference. And Tyson Walker obviously is a bucket. And Malik Hall is, well, we can get to him in a second. But you're bringing a recruiting class in with these dudes. I saw the vision, but at the same time I'm thinking, all right, so you got a team that is a bring everyone back team, quote unquote. But they were a 7 seed last year. They were a 7 seed the year before. Like, this isn't like a team that was like running through the Big Ten. So I was trying to like reconcile like why is there hype for this team? But at the same time, I do kind of see that like down the road they are going to be pretty good. It just feels like a weird mix right now because to me like the freshmen are the guys to be excited about, but Izzo's not going to play freshmen out of the gate. It's like I don't know what. You want to trust Izzo because he is Mr. March, as they say, and that like by the time the season rolls around, he'll have figured all this out, and all the adversity they go through is actually a good thing and all that. But I'm just curious, like as the season does wear on, how much of a roller coaster is this going to be for Michigan State? Like how many lessons are they going to have to learn along the way, and how many guys are going to get pulled out of starting lineups and put it,
Yeah, they do. Like. I'll say like last year they were a 7 seed because their depth, which is not there. I think they played like 9 or 10 scholarship guys last year, and they had 1 or 2 guys get hurt. 1 or 2 guys get hurt on a team that has 9 or 10 scholarship guys. You now have a 7 or 8 man rotation plus 1 or 2 walk-ons. You're just not as good, especially if you have foul trouble. So they did drop some games because of their depth. So I think coming back this year, basically with the same guys, they missed Joey Hauser a lot.
Yeah.
They missed Joey because I think Joey hits a couple threes in that game to push the lead to 3 to 6 or 4 to 7, right? Those big clutch shots or that big clutch rebound or big clutch defensive possession where he's just in the right place at the right time because he's a senior, he's mature, he's experienced. But Cohen Carr is very good. I love his energy, but outside of Cohen Carr, Izzo doesn't trust any of the other ones. Say Xavier Booker, the highest ranked one, Izzo doesn't trust him yet. Fears he's playing behind one of the toughest backcourts in the country, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. He's just not going to get those reps. But Cohen Carr, he trusts him. I said before the year, I wonder how long it's going to take for Izzo to put Cohen Carr at the 5.
Whoa.
I was like, wild. I don't know how long it's going to take for him, but are you in 2 or 3 minutes left? Are you putting in Matty Sissoko, Carson Cooper, or Cohen Carr? I'm like, it's going to be Cohen Carr.
Yeah.
And sure enough, first game, I was so hyped because I called that shit. It was insane.
Yeah.
It was insane. They had more depth this year, so I'm not pushing panic button yet.
Yeah. Cohen, I fall in love with Cohen Carr. I no matter how I don't know though. It's like the older I get, the more I stop like thinking about basketball and I just like use my heart or something. Like I know, like I watched him on the what they don't call it Midnight Madness anymore, whatever the the version of Midnight Madness is, and he's doing the dunk from the free throw line and off the backboard and everything, and I'm like, I think this guy's a star. I don't even know how good he is at basketball, but if you can dunk like that, like dude, I fucking love this guy. Booker was a guy coming out of Indy, and I'm an Indy guy, so like I'm always partial to guys coming out of Indy. I heard nothing but good things, and I was like so hyped to see him at Michigan State. And Sissoko, who I had such high hopes for Sissoko after the I think it was the aircraft carrier game against Gonzaga.
Yeah.
Like
he was really good.
He was so good, and I was like,
"This give me the business." Bro.
Yeah,
he was giving me the business.
I was like, dude, Matty Sissoko could be something, and then he just kind of hasn't ever really he hasn't really come around. So I was like, all right, well, Xavier Booker's going to step in East Lansing, and he's going to be that dude. And I'm watching game 1, and he's playing 5 minutes, and I'm like, all right, so either I was fed terrible information on Xavier Booker, or this is like a long play from Izzo where it's like, by the time March rolls around, Booker's playing 22 minutes a game or something. And is that I don't know how it works. This is part of the reason I'm fascinated with college basketball, though, is because you do have a situation where I do feel like Michigan State like most of their talent is coming off the bench. Most of like the most talented guys, quote unquote, are on the bench. It's just a fascinating deal. So
yeah, I mean, if you talk to Indiana people, I'm not saying IU, but like people from in Indiana who watched Booker play in high school, they'll be the first ones to tell you that, like, hey, look, super talented guy, but he does have his concerns, and you're seeing some of those concerns, and it just happens to be that some of those concerns are some of Izzo's pet peeves. Got to play physical, got to rebound the ball, you got to have a high motor. If you are a front court player, those three things he's still trying to battle. And some of the things why Izzo has a very, very short leash for him.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about Purdue, the team that obviously won the Big Ten last year, Big Ten tournament, National Player of the Year. Yeah, I mean that's the question. Is like, do you feel like Purdue did enough in the offseason to, I guess not lose to a 16 seed in the tournament this year?
Yeah. Yes. First of all, Braden Smith got way better. Got way better, man. No disrespect to remember TJ McConnell for Arizona?
Oh yeah.
Braden Smith is like a better version of him, in my opinion.
Wow.
Yes. Braden Smith is very, very good, man, and people sleep on him, but like top of the key, high PNR, he shot 42% from three on the year last year. I think they're going to want him to be more aggressive this year. That's going to take so much pressure off of Edey, so much pressure off of Lawyer. And one of the most underrated acquisitions was Lance Jones coming from Southern Illinois. Lance Jones is going to be able to alleviate so much pressure. If teams want to go out and pressure Purdue, go ahead, have fun with that, because you have to deal with multiple ball handlers now. Yeah. My biggest thing is I think they should be playing Cam Heide a bit more, possibly at the 4. I don't like the TKR Edey thing. It looks weird out there.
Yeah.
Looks forced. I do like first, but the TKR Edey thing looks very, very forced. And I think eventually you're going to see a lot more Cam Heide. But I think this team, I think they're so underrated coming into this year. And those two freshman guards from last year combining for over 2,000 minutes, like they're going to be so much better in this season, along with Lance Jones. Just a very, very, very good team.
Yeah, I thought Purdue should have been the number 1 team entering the season, and it's solely they would have been if they had they not lost to the 16 seed, which like obviously they did, and that matters. But at the same time, like
matters a lot.
Like people want to pretend like because you lost in the tournament that like the rest of the season almost didn't matter. And it's like, all right, well, Purdue losing to Fairleigh Dickinson doesn't mean that this year's Purdue team is not going to be good or not going to I don't know. I just kept saying that on the show over and over. I was like, listen, everybody, like as much as you might think that Purdue is a fraud, they are not. They are going to be very, very good all year. They are going to win the Big Ten, I think, pretty comfortably again. Once March rolls around, we'll see what happens. But the other guy, like Miles Colvin, I think is a big guy, recruit
big name.
Yeah.
I want him to play so much, bro, but I don't see it. I don't see him playing ahead of Cam Heide. I don't see him playing against or in front of Ethan Morton. I don't see him playing in front of Lance Jones either. I just don't see it.
I just want him to be the wrinkle. He's so athletic, and that's like something that they just didn't really have. But yeah,
those are their best teams. Best teams. They have that athletic perimeter guy.
I don't need him playing big minutes. What I need him I want him to just be like a pinch hitter almost, like in certain situations where it's just like let's throw a lob play just to remind. Because I do feel like part of Purdue's thing last year was teams who get very confident going up against those guards, where like the narrative started just like it was like became a snowball. Where it's like just pressure these freshman guards, pressure them. They don't have the athleticism, they don't have the experience. Just keep and it just became like like as the season wore on, everyone just started attacking, and having a situation where it's like, watch this, and we just throw an oop to Miles Colvin, and he dunks on everybody, and then he goes back to the bench, and it's just like a quick reset where you're like the other team's like, oh fuck, where did that come from? I thought we were playing Purdue. Where's that? I don't know. But I'm also, like I said, I'm biased towards guys from Indy, and he's from Indy
think Cam Heide can be that dude.
Cam Heide's that dude for you. Okay.
Crazy athletic.
Yeah.
Crazy athletic. Very athletic dude.
Yeah.
He reminds me of Will Sheehy.
Oh yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah.
He reminds me of Will Sheehy a little bit.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Doesn't really pass the eye test until his his chest is on your face. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's over. It's a wrap.
Who else do you like in the Big Ten? Because I think coming in, for most people, they felt like it was a 2-horse race with Michigan State and Purdue. Is there anyone else that you think? Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.
Okay.
I like what Wisconsin did. They went and got I don't know how they got AJ Storr to come to Madison, Wisconsin, but they did it. They got Connor Essegian coming off the bench. Like that's how good that team could be. Connor Essegian, I thought he was like Tyler Hero light. Like very good player, very, very good player. Coming off the bench. They got the Winners kid off the bench, about 6'9", 6'10", very good forward. They bring back their whole starting five, except AJ is now starting and Connor's coming off the bench. And they were a good team last year. They were top 15 until Tyler Wall got hurt. Tyler Wall got hurt. He was out for 3 games. From that point forward, I think they only won 6 more games until the NIT tournament. They just never got their mojo back. So if there's a dark horse, if you want value out there, Wisconsin's
the team for you. People seem to be high on Wisconsin. I don't know. I like Essegian a lot. I guess I forgot Wall was hurt. I have to rethink this now, and you're giving me some stuff to think about because it does feel
they were 11-2 or 10-2, ranked number 14 in the country.
That's right.
And then he goes to them. Then he went down and they lost 3 in a row and never got their stuff back. Man.
That's right. What about Illinois, a team that beat Kansas in the exhibition game that didn't count? But don't tell Illini Twitter that because boy were they fired up. My read on it, and obviously feel free to disagree. I feel like this Illinois team doesn't have as much individual talent maybe as the last few teams that Underwood has had, but I think that is exactly what they need because now moving forward there are more defined roles. And I like Illinois basketball to me has been a situation where they have a ton of talent, but it's just chaos at all times, trying to figure out like who's the dude and where the ball should go and like who's hot tonight and all that sort of shit. And this team to me feels like it has more defined roles, and that Terrence Shannon is that guy. Coleman Hawkins is the sidekick that's the Swiss Army knife for him. And I'm like higher on Illinois this year than I have been in the last couple years probably because I feel like there's going to be less chaotic energy from this team. What do you think?
Yeah, so I would say that I think the personnel is just as talented in my opinion.
Okay.
I think Marcus Damask is, oh my goodness, so good. That Southern Illinois team. So he's also a transfer from Southern as well. Marcus Damask, like 6'6", 215, can do whatever he wants on the court. Him and Luke Goody, they add a calm to Terrence's and Coleman's chaos.
Yeah.
And they balance each other out very, very well. I like Gary. I like Justin Harmon. I like Dane the way when he comes in, more of like an inside presence. But I think this team is going to move how well Dre Gibbs Lawhorn and Ty Rogers are running the one. Like really run the one, not bring the ball up the court, let others initiate. Like, are you going to be able to come off the screen and read?
Yeah.
Can you get to the second level defense and make the right decision? They haven't had that in a long, long time.
Yeah. Can we trust Coleman Hawkins? We like Coleman Hawkins, right?
I like Coleman with this team because there's more playmakers around him where he doesn't need to do as much.
Okay.
I think he had to do a lot last year at times. And I think he felt he had to do a lot last year. That's why you saw him get so many turnovers in the open court, step back threes from like 30 feet. Insane. But I think he has there's so much balance and so much calm on this team. It almost calms him down.
Yeah.
It's like almost a suppressor for his anxiety.
Yeah.
So he should be making more, better decisions. He should be able to handle the ball a bit better. Shoot threes when he's open, not forcing them, because he has guys that he could really depend on this year.
Yeah. Another team I want to talk to you about is the Hoosiers, who I think so the other night they're playing Florida Gulf Coast. I had to tell my dad like a million times that Florida Gulf Coast is better than you realize. My dad is just like a disillusioned Indiana fan, an Indiana alum who's just like, he's a. I mean, just basically telling you that he's a 67-year-old Indiana alum. I think you can kind of get the picture, Ant. I think you can understand just like
Bobby Knight, truth, or all these things.
Yeah, when you win, it's never by enough. When you lose, it's like this fucking program. I tell you what, Bobby would never stand for this, all that sort of bullshit. But I'd explain
jerseys.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. What? God damn it! They put stars on the back of the shorts. What are they doing?
Get
putting
that
stars?
script out of here.
Yeah.
Goddamn script.
I had to explain to him the Florida Gulf Coast, not that bad of a team, but so Indiana to me is a team that does have a pretty high ceiling, I think, but I have no idea where their floor is. Trying to make sense of what this team will be is. I don't know if, even as the season wears on, if we could fully make sense of it. But they seem to have talent, but it's just like, how are all the pieces going to fit? Will they be able to get enough shooting? How do you feel about Indiana on the whole?
Good ceiling, very low floor, very, very low floor in my opinion. And I do like when Gabe Cupps is in the game along with X. I like when they go with their 3-guard lineup a lot better than McKenzie at the 3. Because I just think he's a 4 on both ends of the court. Khalil Ware, they need him to play intense the whole game. They need him to have a high motor. They have some good guys coming off the bench, Jordan Sparks when he gets back and all that. But this team, there's something missing, and they're gonna miss TJD and JHS a lot.
Yeah.
Hood Schifino and Trace Jackson Davis, but what those two did last year and carrying that team when X went down, I mean, Trace was one of the better passers in the league as a big. Not even off of sets. Like, this is in secondary break. They're giving him the ball to, hey, make a decision, right?
Yeah.
They don't have that this year. They don't have JHS. They don't have a 6'6" guard to give the ball to and say, hey, ball screen, we need a good shot.
Yeah.
So
Trace was he just like elevated to like an insane level last year. He just got like for a guy that everybody knew could not shoot a jump shot, you still like couldn't stop him at all. It was a sight to behold, man. He was so good. So was Hood Schifino. Yeah, you're right, man. Those guys were so good. I don't know. I want to talk myself into IU. I did like Gabe Cupps a lot. But freshmen and freshmen in the Big Ten, we'll see. For guys who aren't like surefire NBA players, they do hit a wall at some point. So we'll see there. Who else are we not talking about? Maryland. Maryland's a team that they're in another like weird situation where they're a bring back everyone team kind of, like the top 3 guys are back. But they're an 8 seed last year that they get smoked by Bama in the second round. So you're like, yeah, sure, they bring guys back, but like, how good was actually that team last year? How good should they be this year? What are our thoughts there?
Well, I think Jameer Young had to kind of get used to the league last year. I saw him in his first game. That dude's confidence is I've never seen it higher than it was against Mount St. Mary's. But he's going to be good. Deshaun Harris-Smith, like, that's probably my favorite for freshman of the year right now.
Wow, okay.
Very good guard out of Paul Six. Very good guard. I like Jamie Kaiser. They brought him off the bench, but right away you saw why he was good. He could shoot. He's going to be a good defender. About 6'7", good size. Dante Scott has to be consistent. Dante Scott and Malik Hall are very, very similar.
Yeah.
Like, you see them and you're like, you see flashes of, hey, that kid could be a first team all Big Ten guy. Then other times it's like, yo, what is my man's doing right now?
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's so confusing. Like, you could see how good they could be, but then at times I'm like, are they in the game? And then if they are in the game, they're just doing crazy things that just don't make much sense.
Yeah, that's. I
don't know.
I feel that way about Malik Hall especially. I want to like him so much, but it's just. Yeah, it's those guys will frustrate you way more than guys who just suck ass, honestly. Like, I would almost rather just have like a team full of dudes that I know what I'm getting. It's like, all right, we suck ass, but like, you guys are gonna play hard. You're gonna be at least consistent. Right. Seeing a guy who has all the talent in the world and like just can't fully put it together for multiple games in a row is super frustrating. One thing I guess I didn't realize till we were talking about it. All the bigs are gone. This is a guard league now. It's like Edey and like, it's It's all these teams that I'm looking at them here. I mean, like, hell, Michigan State obviously has the great backcourt. Indiana, Xavier Johnson's probably, I don't know if he's their most talented player, but he's like the guy that's going to be probably the engine for him this year. Wisconsin's the backcourt. Maryland, Jameer Young, Terrence Shannon, Boo Buie at Northwestern.
I do like Wall and Crowell. I'm a big Wall Crowell guy. I love them.
Yeah.
Super boring, but they get the job done. They do have Julia Reese for Maryland.
Yeah.
Amori's back for Rutgers. They lost to Princeton. I don't know how. I love the fact that Zed Key is coming off and Felix is starting. I do like that.
Yeah, I do too. I'm worried about Zed, by the way. I'm curious your thoughts on this. I don't think Zed should have lost weight. I don't like. Dude, I don't like. I'm getting flashbacks to Jared Solinger's sophomore year when he came back like skinny and everyone's like, this is gonna be great for him for the league. And then like Jared would try to post up and throw his ass into people like he did his freshman year and it wasn't working.
It just didn't work.
Yeah, it didn't work. It was like, dude, he needs that big ass, man, to throw around down there. Yeah, what was he thinking?
I watched the Dayton game, and Zed checked in, and I'm like, who is that?
Who's that dude? Yeah.
Like, who the hell is? I'm like, is that Zed? That's not Zed Key.
Yeah.
No. And then they said it was Zed. I was like, holy shit, dude lost so much weight. Yeah. I don't even know how much weight he lost. I'm not even sure what guys are reporting on, but dude lost a ton of weight. Like you said, I don't know if that's good or bad because he's a smaller dude at 6'7", 6'8".
Right.
It's almost like you would want him to be 30, 40 pounds bigger just to, throw guys around a bit,
How good is Michigan going to be? Because it looked like there was a moment in the summer, rosters are still fluid and all that, but there was a moment in the summer where it was like, is Michigan the worst team in the Big Ten or like close to it?
I never thought that.
But they're obviously not going to be now. Like where did we? Because they got a couple dudes.
Doug's gotten better. He's picked up in his last several games for Michigan. He was very good. He's picked up on that and then made it way better, which was nice. Olivier Kamwa, huge ad. Trey Jackson, huge ad. Damari Burnett, huge ad. George Washington III, a true freshman. He's a lot bigger than what I thought he was going to be. He's going to be solid. Will Cheddar. They have a rotation of about 9. Yeah. 8 of them have the green light to shoot. And they're not all little guys. Only 3 of them are under 6'8". No, only 4 are under 6'8". That's it. So it's a big team. They play fast. They could defend. They could rebound. Kamwa is in like Disney World because he's able to just play his game within these concepts, not like Tennessee where he's told exactly what to do. Kamwa's out there hooping.
Yeah,
right? He's out there having fun. I do need to see this team. We heard about the Marquette game. They won 115-111. We saw the exhibition against Northwood. Northwood's not that good. They played against UNC Asheville. UNC Asheville's very, very good. One of the constants in all 3 of those games, they shot the ball very, very well from 3. My thing moving forward, if a team slows them down, are they going to be able to execute at a high level in the half court? If they could do that, I think they could finish top 4 in the league.
Okay. Wow.
If they can execute in the half court, but that's a big ask because when Big Ten starts, they could slow you down.
Yeah.
Very good defensively. We'll see.
Why did it? There was a moment though in the summer. Maybe they weren't good. I guess Minnesota was always going to be the worst team in the league, and Penn State's. Like they're. I was taking it a bit too far, but like there was a moment in the summer where you're scratching your head and you're like, "What is this Michigan team going to be?" Right? Am I misremembering? And then
I had them around when Kamwa committed. I was like, okay, preseason. I can see them around 9th.
Yeah,
I can see them around 9th.
Yeah,
around 9th. I thought 9th was fair, and then as time went on, I'm like, this team could be a top 7 team in the league.
Yeah,
this is before their first scrimmage. I was like, okay, this team could be a top 7 team in the league, and now I think they could be top 4 in the league. But It's going to come down to in the half court game, are they going to be able to execute?
Yeah.
like at a high level.
What other non-Big Ten things you got? Like who you like that's like maybe I don't know, just in general. Like what have you seen so far? Who you high on? You got anything outside the Big Ten?
I have been neck deep in Big Ten stuff, but I would say that I watched Kentucky in their first game.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hold until their second game.
Yeah.
I want to see it again.
Yeah.
I want to see it again.
Yeah.
Talented, yes. Younger team mixed in with some vets who really want to win. That's usually a very nice combination. I want to see them in the Champions Classic.
Yeah.
I think who they got? Kansas?
They got Kansas, yeah.
Kansas, right?
Yeah, I don't
I'm not big on Kansas.
Yeah, that's
right
what
now.
I'm the same way, man. I like it always works that way this time of year where you're just like I need because that's how college basketball works, is all the fluidity with rosters and all that sort of thing. But yeah, I'm looking at that Kansas Kentucky game and I'm like, I think Kentucky might be I like Kentucky long term way more than I like Kansas, I think.
Yeah.
But obviously Kansas is
not enough shooting on Kansas, man.
I know, that's how I see. That's what I think too. And Hunter, now that Hunter is not one of your guys, you can admit. I mean, come on, like Hunter's not.
I love Hunter. Hunter's my guy.
Now.
He's from DMV, from Virginia.
Come on,
you know what I mean? It's my guy. I will say that this was the biggest win-win ever. I think it was a win for Hunter, a win for Michigan, because now Michigan you don't know who's going to hit you, right?
Yeah.
Now for Hunter, he could go out and win National Player of the Year, I think.
Yeah. I think with Kansas' roster, they're gonna have to lean on him heavily because they don't really have a lot of dudes that you can just throw the ball to and get you a bucket other than him. So
right. We'll see how much Marco Jackson comes along. I'm really high on him.
Yeah.
We'll see how much he comes along because they're gonna need a perimeter scorer. And the kid from Towson too, Nick Timberlake. They're gonna need some.
They got like an Australian kid that's like highly thought of too. His name is
like Funfee or Furfee or something like that.
Yeah.
Josh Giddey Light.
Yeah. All right. Last thing I got for you: the $1 million question with Big Ten basketball every year. Can this conference as a whole win a national championship? Who are the candidates? Is it Purdue and Michigan State? You said you're high on Wisconsin. Like as you sit here, it's obviously very early. A lot of basketball left to be played. How many horses we got that can run in this race, you think, realistically?
I think 5 can make a Final Four.
Okay.
I think 5 can make a Final Four, and I think you have 6. I think you have 6 tournament teams. That's it. I think you have 6. And I have a question mark beside Indiana.
Yeah, like Indiana is. I think we're gonna have a question mark beside Indiana for most of the year. Indiana feels like they're gonna be bubbly. Yeah, they're gonna be
very bubbly.
They're gonna have some really, really good wins and some really, really bad losses. I feel like.
I think so too.
Yeah,
I think so too.
That feels like where we're gonna get out of Indiana. Ant, thanks so much, dude. Always love having you on the show. Ant Wright, go follow him on Twitter. Go follow his stuff. I say it every time I talk to you that you are my Big Ten resource. And I have no shame in admitting that I basically just steal your shit, dude. Like I'll see you tweet stuff and then I just like just
it's
say
all
that,
good.
You
got way more followers than me, so hey man, you do your thing, bro.
But I want to say right now in front of God and country that anytime you ever hear me have like a good Big Ten basketball thought, go check Ant's timeline. He probably tweeted it before I said it. So go. That's the story.
Fair enough.
Appreciate it, man.
Without a doubt.
All right, thank you to Ant Wright. Before we go, some notes I have here that I want to rip through and make sure I shout some things out. So number one, I want to shout out these Indiana Pacers, man. We haven't done a lot of NBA talk on this show since the NBA season started. I don't know when we will. I guess like maybe after Christmas. Is that when people start caring about the NBA? They're trying to do the in-season tournament. I thought the in-season tournament was like a one-weekend thing. It is not. I just learned the other day that the in-season tournament is like every Friday.
Which makes the court thing way crazier.
Yeah.
That they're pulling the courts and putting them back
down. Yeah, it's I don't know. I mean, like, the people that are pro in-season tournament are like, listen, man, it was just like it was going to just be a dumb regular season game anyway. So even if you're 1% more interested in it, now it's the in-season tournament, it was worth it. I don't necessarily think that's how it works because I think that is by definition a gimmick. I think what you're describing is a gimmick. It's like saying if they put a 7-point line down on the court and it got 10 more people interested in basketball, then it's worth it. I don't think that's correct, but who am I to say? Anyway, back to the point. These Indiana Pacers, I can't get enough of them. I mean, they are playing phenomenal basketball. Now they're playing tonight, and everyone listening, they just played the Bucks. For everyone listening, they have not played the Bucks for all of us in the room as we're recording this. So who the hell knows what's going to happen tonight? But as of this recording, the Indiana Pacers, here's some stats for you. 7 guys are averaging 10-plus points per game. And Obi Top, those 7 guys, Halliburton, Mathurin, Heald, Stick Smith, Nesmith, Bruce Brown, Miles Turner, all 7 of those guys are averaging double figures. Obi Toppin's averaging 9.3 points per game as well. So he would be the 8th if he can get boost, bump, whatever, his average up a little bit. They are first in the league in points per game. They are second in pace. They are second in field goal percentage. They are 5th in three-point field goal percentage. They are first in assist. I don't know how good they are. I don't know if they're going to actually be a contender. Halliburton's awesome. I think like when you look at like the individual players, there's nobody that really – I mean, Halliburton is a very, very good player. No one's going to argue that Halliburton is a, top-tier guy. Like he's an all-star. I don't know. I guess it depends on how you define tiers. But, I mean, like he's not like a super-duper-duper star. He's a super-duper star, but not a I would say one duper. He's one duper. He's a one duper guy. He's not like a 2 or a 3 duper guy. But the point is, it's not like the Pacers have a guy who is just like a legend, all-time, top 75 player, top 50 player in the history of this league leading them. And yet their offense has been incredible. And I love it because I hope the people of Indiana love it because this is how those of us who masturbate to the idea of Indiana basketball being superior to every form of basketball out there, this is what we have in mind, is guys sharing the rock, guys shooting the rock. The defense we could probably use a little bit more work, but screw all that. At least they're making shots. At least they're sharing it, and it's a balanced attack. I love that. Like they had a game the other night where like 14 dudes scored. That was against the Spurs, I think. It's incredible. It's so fun to watch. So shout out to the Indiana Pacers. Shout out to the Syracuse Orange, 2-0. Right, Cody? Are they 2-0?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, they're 4-0 if you count exhibitions.
4-0? All right. Syracuse, I saw the other day that Autry was running man-to-man, and then what was it against New Hampshire? He's running man-to-man, and then the defense like started sucking a little bit, and he went to the 2-3 zone, and he said in the post-game press conference, thank God for the 2-3 zone. I found that very funny, and I love that because I do want Syracuse to move past the 2-3 zone, but I like the idea of them just going to it every so often just for nostalgia's sake. So Cuse is it's a new era in Cuse. Did you see the guy who had up the sign that was like, this is my first game since 1975?
It was legendary.
That's so funny.
He's willing them back to the
Did he just hate Boeheim? Was that what it was?
Streets are saying.
Oh my God.
Judah Mintz also is that guy.
Judah Mintz is that guy?
Averaging 23 a game.
All right.
Not bad.
He's not related to Ben, is he?
I hope not.
No, that would be. I hope. Yeah. But yeah, I like Syracuse running the 2-3. It reminds me of Roy Williams every so often would do the 4 corners offense as like a nod to Dean Smith. Just every so often he would just it makes no sense in the shot clock era, but Roy Williams would just every so often be like, all right, this is for the old heads in attendance. We're gonna do 4 corners, and then the blue hairs at the North Carolina games would lose their minds and be like, oh my God, that's just like how Dean used to do it. So I want Syracuse to always like, every 5 games they run a couple possessions of 2-3, and then they can go back to man if they want. Last thing, there was a bat in Nevada. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Steve Alford had a very, very funny post-game press conference where he was going on a rant about how this is big-time college basketball and we should not have a bat on the loose, and it was cracking me up, and I just wanted to shout out Steve Alford for taking what should be a very funny situation and making it very, very, very serious. I mean, the San Antonio Spurs had a bat on the loose when they were in the midst of their dynasty, kind of.
Yeah.
And Manu Ginobili had to swat it out of the air. But for him, the Nevada Wolfpack have fallen to the depths that – I mean, it is a fair point. It doesn't really fully compute as to why a bat would be flying around a basketball arena.
There should not be a bat.
There should not be a bat. I do understand that. But also – he like you could see the wheels turning in his head. He's like, recruits aren't going to come here. They're going to be worried about getting bit by bats. And it's like, Steve, I don't think it's that big of a deal, but never stop recruiting.
Vampire bat might be one of the best mascots that isn't like fully on a college team. Some sort of vampires.
Yeah, ooh, dude. Yeah. The Valdosta. What's the Valdosta? Valpo. Yeah, I'm trying to think of V's. Valpo makes more sense. The Valpo Vampires.
Vamps.
Dude, that's
that'd be kind of sick.
Like, it was hard. They just changed their name not too long ago. I think they're like the Beacons now. They used to be the C words. Not that C word.
the
Valpo cunts. No, the Crusaders.
Oh,
but that's somehow become kids these days. They felt bad about that, so I think they changed it to the Beacons, which is why don't you just go to Vampires, dude? Vampires are so much more badass. Last thing I was gonna say, Friday, today, for those of you listening, hell of a lineup, hell of a slate in college basketball. Arizona's at Duke, Tennessee's at Wisconsin, San Diego State is at BYU, Texas A&M at Ohio State, Virginia's at Florida. College basketball in general doesn't have a lot of awesome Fridays. There's usually like one or two good games every so often on a Friday night, but generally Friday is not a banger of a night in college hoops. But this is by far the best night of college basketball of this season, which is obviously just this week so far. But Friday night's gonna be awesome, so I'm fired up for that. Hopefully the Buckeyes did look like dog shit. We look so bad against Oakland. We look so bad. A&M is so good. I'm so worried, but whatever. We can cross that bridge next week. But yeah, enjoy the Friday night games. Enjoy the weekend games. All the college football, all that stuff going on. We will be back on Tuesday. See you guys.